Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here and welcome to my guide to Pandemonium Asphodelos' first circle on the Savage difficulty. If you're looking for any specific mechanics, please use the timestamps in the description of the video to skip around. Also, please bear in mind this guide is being made with week 1 strats. While we were able to get through it and while we think it's a workable strategy, people are always making improvements in the party finder, stuff that can make your life easier as well, even if you have to spend a little bit learning something new. Please be open to new and updated strategies, assuming they are actually easier than this one, of course. Before the start of the fight, use a macro or ground marker to help assign your positions. Tanks take north and south, healers east and west, and DPS in the 4 corners. We'll use these positions a lot throughout the fight, so it's pretty important. Also, for the fight itself, we use these ground markers with those 4 markers in the corner and those 4 markers center in the room. This will make more sense as you see us use them in this guide. At the start of the fight, you'll quickly become acquainted with Erathonio's attacks. Heavy Hand is a generic Tankbuster, and Warder's Wrath is a room-wide AoE. These hit much harder than on normal, so rotate defensives smartly. Feint is particularly useful on Warder's Wrath, which is oddly physical damage. The first real mechanic is Ancient Shackles. This places a red chain debuff and a blue chain debuff on 2 random players. When the red chain expires, it will blow up on that player with a big AoE and then fire that same AoE at the 3 furthest players. Those players will actually be marked by a red chain around them when the mechanic is about to fire off. When the blue chain expires, it will blow up in a small AoE and then fire that same AoE at the 3 nearest players. The 3 nearest players will be marked by actually showing a blue chain stretching to their position. With the markers we set up at the start, the red tether and the 3 farthest players can stand on those corner markers to bait the explosions, while the blue chains all stand together on those inner markers in order to handle that. In regards to orientation, we color-coded our markers a very specific way here on the arena. Now if DPS get the red chain, they'll all go to their corners that we assigned at the start, and the tanks and the healers will use their assigned cardinal spot inside to deal with the blues. Now if a tank or a healer gets a red, everyone just swaps positions with the person who is color-coded to you. So 1 and A would be swapping, 2 and B, 3 and C, and 4 and D. This would put tanks and healers on the corners and the DPS on the inside. Now if both a tank and a healer or 2 DPS get the red and the blue chain, we can actually send everyone to their set clock positions that we did at the start, but we have the blue marker swap with their color-coded partner. So let's say the 3 DPS got a blue chain in this scenario. They'd swap places with the 3 marker to completely resolve the mechanic. Of course, this is vice versa if both the tanks and the healers had chains. They'd have to swap with the DPS that's on the outside. However, even with a system in place, this is pretty YOLOable, so just be observant and understand that a death or 2 here isn't that important across the entire fight. After this is Jailer's Flail. Now this has a couple more possibilities than it did on normal mode. The first possible pattern is 2 sickles on his left and right flanks back to back. These do 270-degree AoEs in the direction they are initially placed. Simply get to the opposite side of the hitbox as the first sickle, then move directly through to dodge the second one. The other possible Jailer's Flail here has a spiked ball and a chakram. The spiked ball is a point blank AoE and the chakram is a donut AoE. Look for which one he does first, dodge it, then dodge the second hit. The donut and the point blank AoE actually have a slightly larger range than his hitbox. It's about as far out as the arrow on the front of his hitbox ring. Just watch out for whether he does the sickles or the ball and chakram pattern and dodge accordingly. You'll get whichever one you didn't get first a few mechanics later, so be ready to do both of these possible patterns at either point. Next up is Pitiless Flail. Much like normal mode, this deals line damage and knocks back the target. However, it has a few differences now. For one, it deals Tankbuster level damage and will always target the main tank. Additionally, you will either get Pitiless Flail of Grace or Pitiless Flail of Purgation. Now, depending on which flail you get, there will be a different attack that immediately follows up after the Tankbuster on whoever has aggro on the boss. For Flail of Grace, the aggro target will get a split damage AoE after the knockback, and for Flail of Purgation, they will get a proximity AoE. Now, whichever tank takes the actual knockback will get a magic phone, so they can't be hit by whichever mechanic this is. So to solve this, we simply did a tank swap and then have the new main tank either stack behind the boss for Grace or run max melee north with Purgation. The main tank who took the knockback needs to make sure they are out of both of these AoEs, and it's particularly important that they are very far away from the flare marker player, as the damage fall off can still easily kill them from what seems like a safe distance. Just have them go opposite of wherever the flare tank is and go max melee. Also, if it's Grace, don't run into the stack as the magic phone tank. Fun little trick our tank found out is that you can actually do something with a knockback that kind of solves all of this immediately. If you time the snapshot just right, you can actually take the hit from the line AoE away from the party, but then slide through the boss and get knocked towards the rest of the party instead, as you see our tank doing in this clip. If you're not comfortable, don't do it, but it is a nice trick if you master it. Also, another note, the knockback on the tank is actually blockable by the second tank. If the other tank stands in front of whoever is targeted first, they will take the magic vuln and the knockback, and you don't need to do a tank swap. However, it makes the tank positioning kind of awkward compared to just having the second tank pre-position and do a tank swap, you know? Also, cover strats would work here as well. Plenty of ways to handle this. Now next is one of the big mechanics, Intemperance. Much like normal mode, you need to manipulate your fire or ice ether by being hit by the opposite element. You'll always want to avoid being hit by the same element twice in a row if you can. However, there are some notable changes. For one, there are now 9 arena squares in Savage as opposed to the 4 in normal, and 8 of them have a triple stack of element cubes. The middle square actually doesn't have any elements and allows you to avoid swapping elements if needed, which you will. Additionally, any fire or ice block explosions that are being set off need to be taken by at least one person. Otherwise, they will blow up on the entire group for big damage and a small damage down, nothing too major. Finally, there is now a lightning cube on the second set of explosions. This means you can't stand in that square or you will die. And in that case, only the north, middle, and south squares are ever safe during the second set of cube explosions. Oh, and the boss can actually start with either the top element cube or the bottom element cube, and he'll indicate this during his Intemperate Torment cast right before the cubes start exploding, by making either his top hand glow or his bottom hand glow. Honestly, for our strat though, you don't even need to pay attention to that. This is a super easy mechanic once you know the trick. You see, the second set of elements only has those 3 available squares. The north one is always a fire explosion, the south one is an ice explosion, and the middle one is neutral, allowing you to keep the same element if needed. So for everyone who isn't the northwest DPS and the north tank, you can just look at the stack that you start at for your spread position and just handle that cube order yourself. If you have fire first and third, then grab an ice stack on the second to meet that condition. Just solve your own stack of cubes and worry about nothing else. Now the northwest DPS and the north tank, on the other hand, need to both look at the southmost stack of cubes. If the southmost stack is 3 back-to-back ice cubes, then they just need to solve their own towers as well. If the south stack of cubes has a fire one at the bottom, then the northwest DPS and the north tank need to swap after the first explosion. So the northwest DPS would take the third explosion of the north tower, and the north tank would take the third hit from the northwest tower. With this strategy, those 2 players are the only ones that have to do anything at all. There are still lots of room wides during this phase though, 2 warders, wraths, plus the actual explosion damage, so big mitts and heals between are definitely wanted for all that stuff. Now if you fail to swap elements properly, just eat your intended cube anyway. At worst you die and save everyone else, and at best you live and just get a damage down. That damage down is super weak like I said earlier, and the DPS check for the first fight is so lenient. So lenient that on my first clear, we had people die, we had a full party of damage downs, and we still beat it with like 40 seconds to spare, so I think you'll be okay. After Intemperance resolves, you'll get whichever Pitiless Flail you didn't get the first time. So if you got Grace first, you'll get Purgation second and vice versa. With this, we move on to Shining Cells. This does big raid-wide damage that you need to mitigate and shrinks the arena into a circle, just like normal mode. Aether Flail is still here like normal mode, but it will be a mix of the Gaoler's Flails you did in the first phase. So it can be Chakram plus Sickle, or Spiked Ball plus Sickle. You'll just need to perform the Flail mechanic, alongside standing on the opposite element of whatever orbs are floating around the boss, again, just like normal. There will be a second Flail slightly later that just does the opposite of whatever the boss did the first time. So if it was in and left flank first, then it would be out and right flank second, for example. Just watch those elemental orbs to know which floor space is safe as well, and you'll be fine. After the first Aether Flail is another Pitiless Flail, which works the same as the one did earlier. After the second Aether Flail is a new mechanic, Shackles of Time. This places a debuff on a random player that, when it expires, will cause whatever element they're standing on to explode, but it won't damage them, so they'll be fine. Simply designate that player to stand on one color and the rest of the party stands on a different color. We always did Shackles would stand on the light sections and the party would stand on fire, but either works, to be honest. With this finishing, the boss will use Heavy Hand before casting Slam Shut, doing a ton of room-wide damage and ending the phase. The next mechanic is Fourfold Shackles. This will place Ancient Shackles on all 8 players, with 4 red and 4 blue, which you'll need to resolve properly to avoid a chain of deaths. They'll also all have different durations. One of each color chain will have a 3-second duration, an 8-second duration, a 13-second duration, and an 18-second duration. To make this simple, we use the exact same marker placements as earlier, but we have all the reds run to the corner markers, and all the blues go to the inside markers. To make things even simpler, we made the 3-second chains go to 1 and A, 8 seconds go to 2 and B, 13 seconds go to 3 and C, and 18 seconds go to 4 and D. You have so much time to check your timer and run to the correct spot, and even this is somewhat YOLOable. I just wanted to give it a little bit of structure. Once you're in your spot, don't move until all 4 chains resolve. Melee can get full uptime, casters don't need to move for this entire thing, and everyone should be satisfied. With happy chains behind us, after another room-wide AoE is Intemperance number 2. This one is identical responsibility-wise to the first with a single twist. The boss will use a Gaoler's Flail with a spiked ball and a chakram in either order. These will go off after the second set of cubes spawns, so you can do the second set, then do the in or out mechanics before going to your third set of cubes. It's actually possible to do all of these dodges while still standing in your proper square, but you have so much time here, don't risk it, just do it properly, then get to your third explosion. After another Warder's Wrath is Shining Cell number 2, the final set of mechanics. A player will receive Shackles of Time right off the bat here. Then you'll have to do a Pitiless Flail mechanic, performing the entire thing on whichever element the shackles aren't standing on. Again, we just have the Shackles of Time stand on light, and we resolve all the mechanics on the fire sections. Keep in mind this can be on the tanks too, including the one doing Purgation or Grace. So if you have the Grace Flail and the tank stack has it, they have to be one element over while you do the stack mechanic. We never had it happen, but it can happen, so be aware. After a Warder's Wrath will be Aetherial Shackles. This is just 1 red and 1 blue again, so you can handle it the same as the very first one in terms of positioning. However, the boss will also do Ether Chain, simply igniting sections of the arena that are the same color as its orb. Fortunately, all of our markers are right between 2 sections, so a quick sidestep solves that as well. There'll be 2 Ether Chains back to back, so make sure to stay on your markers and dodge both of the Ether Chains while waiting for Ancient Shackles to expire. After this will be a Warder's Wrath, 2 Ether Chains, another Warder's Wrath, and then a long cast of Leaf, the boss's Enrage. In total, you have just under 10 minutes to clear the encounter. A feat that's possible with deaths, damage downs, and it's only going to get easier week by week as people collect more gear and become more comfortable. So don't give up if people start dying, keep learning, and you'll get it in no time. That's going to be a wrap for my guide to Fidelis' first circle on the Savage difficulty. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We'll have more Week 1 guides coming to you in the coming week. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and until then, take care.